Hello, good afternoon, neighbors and friends. This is Faisal Hassan, your member of Provincial Parliament, joining you again another Friday from 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. Those who are joining us from Facebook page, Faisal Hassan NDP, and Instagram, Faisal Hassan NDP, and Twitter, Faisal Hassan NDP, and YouTube, welcome. Before I begin, I wish to acknowledge at this time the land that we know, now known as York Southwestern, is a traditional territory of many nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, and the Wendat peoples, and is now home to many diverse First Nations, Inuits, and Métis people. And welcome, folks who are just joining Instagram and also Facebook as well. Welcome, Liban, and welcome, Hassan and Farah, and those who are also joining us. Folks, this week, Monday, we had a federal election, and that federal election was an election that no one really wanted it because it was the middle of a pandemic, and also the Elections Canada was saying, don't canvass into apartments, into buildings, and things has been very difficult. Yet again, the Prime Minister called the election. Now that election is over, and I want to thank here our local candidate, our federal NDP candidate, Hawa Mire, who has run an excellent campaign and have done very well for her first attempt of running our candidate here federally. And I also congratulate the winner, Honorable Ahmed Hussein, and I've also indicated that by also writing him a letter to congratulate him, and also also outlining issues that are vital to our community that we need to work, such as the childcare, making it a $10 per day, and we need to make sure that we implement here in Ontario. And it is very important that that you know that the Ontario NDP is committed implementing that, and also working with climate crisis and climate change, and also housing and violence in the community and other issues that are important that we need to work together to make it our community working together, all levels of government. So that was the federal election, folks. And also I know there have been also residents at the Western and Lawrence intersection where witnessed a tragic motorcycle accident recently, raising concerns about speeding and safety across our community. Intersections like Western and Lawrence, and intersections along Black Creek Drive feel intensely unsafe for pedestrians and cyclists. More work needs to be done to make these intersections safe, including upgrades to signaling and traffic calming measures. And I'm committed working with our municipal councillor and municipal leaders to achieve that goal, because safety of our members of our community is paramount, is important, and we need to also fix this. And this has been many incidences has happened, and I think it's time that we give a serious attention to Black Creek and also Western and Lawrence, those speeding cars, and to also have other ways to fix this. And the community have also proposed some ideas of fixing it as well. Well, also, it's also very sad news today that I report to you that local coffee shop, Perfect Blend Bakery and Espresso Bar, was shut down today after serving the community for close to 7 years today. And as a regular customer and a neighbor to Perfectly Blend, I'm sad to see them go and disappointed that the government hasn't done more to support the struggling businesses in our community during the pandemic. I will continue to fight for more support for small businesses, including a third round of a small business grant, small business support grant, and and we need to make sure that those businesses that have not been also didn't receive any support to this day should be also supported. I know many of you have also contacted, and we have been fighting with the ministry and the four governments to get results for you, and we'll continue to fight as well. Also, we know that also the laundry and the taxi drivers were not also included in this, and we want to make sure also those businesses are also supported. And we need to also make sure, folks, that also you support locally. And to see a Perfect Blend, shut down its doors today was very sad news for all of us. And there are also many businesses like that are not able to come out of this. And it is time to help those small businesses. And we've seen Ford government have been supporting big stores and big companies that really don't need the support. These are the places we must support and help and give more attention to, because small businesses are the ones who are making most of the jobs, and they're also close to the community. So I think that was also, there are many, many businesses like Perfect Plan that have already closed. Mati was also one of those businesses right here in close to also our my office as well. So that was also gone. So there we are, folks. This also shows that this government needs to support. And as we return October 4th, I will be fighting to make sure that small businesses do not wither away, and that they are also here after we come out of the pandemic. Um, this Monday, York Southwestern, our community members expressed their democratic rights by casting ballots in Canada's 44th general election, which was called in the middle of a pandemic. And that was, not the right time to call an election. It wasn't needed to really go to an election in the middle of a pandemic, but because we went to the election, because the Prime Minister wanted a majority government. And the result, as you could see, folks, we are where we were before the election, a minority government again. So now it's an opportunity to work with others and to get things done, and the result resulting this election, as I said, was a minority government, which will require leadership that is prepared to work with others to take on the challenges that Canadians will be facing within the coming months, especially also in our community. And I've reached out my counterpart, the federal MP, who was re-elected on Monday, to make sure the priorities of our community, so that we can work with those issues and make it also bring a provincial perspective to the federal representation, to make sure that the community concerns are also addressed, so that we can work together, all levels of government, and put people first. One issue that was raised repeatedly during the election was early childhood education and the need for $10 per day childcare program. And that's very important, folks. I don't know if you have following us about the town hall meeting we had about education. We have had parents at Pelmo Park neighborhood, and Pelmo Park School is schools where we need to have childcare. So these, for making $10 per day childcare, will also create more sports, more spaces and locations to make sure that childcare is affordable. And we use also community centers, schools, and other new facilities to make it more spaces and more also sports, and make sure also it's affordable, and that is also for a $10 per day childcare program. And childcare rates in Ontario have been the highest in the country for some time. And parents in our community have understood the need for years for childcare support. We cannot delay any longer, folks, and we must deliver on this vital investment immediately. So this is also an opportunity, our federal MP to support in this, and we are also making sure the entire official opposition that the Premier signs on, and that we work the federal side to get this done and create more spaces, create more sports, create also turning also community centers into child daycare centers, and also childcare centers, and also the schools in our community, that like the schools like Pelmore Park could also support the families living in that area. There's also Pelmore Park Community Center that can be also facilitated into this, and other areas as well, which is a very important investment that is needed. And we need parents. The government has continually dragged its feet on this issue and must do better, because they could have done that without going to an election, But since now the election is over, we must deliver this and many issues like housing as well, and also farmer care, and also a climate crisis, the flooding issues in our community that we have talked about again and again, that the community demanded a relief, and also a better infrastructure, in the community, in a green infrastructure, to make sure that the community is safe from climate crisis and climate change. Ontario remains one of the fewest remaining provinces not to have negotiated an agreement with the federal government to lower childcare fees to $10 per day. Parents need support, and they expect all levels of government to work together rather than point fingers at each other. This agreement should have been signed months ago, and I've urged the Ontario government to work collaboratively with the re-elected federal government to ensure an agreement is concluded immediately. Here in our community in York Southwestern, parents are tired of promise of childcare and are demanding action to finally deliver on this commitment. I know that this is an important step in our recovery from COVID-19. Family budgets continue to be under intense pressure, and parents are finding decent, affordable childcare to be a barrier to employment and economic advancement. I know we can and must do better. We can provide quality, affordable childcare and open more spaces, but it requires a government willing to make the investments necessary and putting families and communities first. I'll continue to press the government to do the right thing and work with our federal partners to implement a program that can finally deliver on this long-awaited priority. I'll be returning to the legislature on October 4th. As you know, we are now October 4th because the Premier has broke the Parliament unnecessarily. And I'm afraid, we might not even sit on October 4th, because he might be able also to broke again. But if he doesn't broke it, the schedule of the Parliament is October 4th. And I look forward to ensuring that supports for families, individuals, small businesses remain on the agenda, so we can invest in a just economic recovery for everyone in our community and across the province. So folks who are just joining me from Instagram, welcome. And those also who are joining us YouTube, welcome. And if you haven't subscribed on my YouTube, please do so. And also those who are also joining us Twitter and Facebook page, Faisal Hassan NDP, Faisal Hassan NDP, welcome as well. And I also turn into also taking some of your questions. And Katra says that, what about housing? That's a very good question, Katra. And I would like to just answer Katra's question about housing. Housing is a crisis, absolutely. You know, people are unable to buy any house in a community in which they grew up or born into, and this is happening across the province. It's a crisis, but first you have to understand where the crisis has begun and why we are here. It is both a liberal government and conservative government that has also let us down again and again. And case in point, John Critchley, the Prime Minister of 1996, and Paul Martin, his finance minister, and also then a prime minister as well, have also said that they have no responsibility, anything to do with housing. And they have downloaded in 1996 into provincial jurisdictions. And those provincial governments, what do? You know, what they did was, then was Mike Harris was the premier, and then Ernie Eves, then Dalton McGuinty, a liberal Dalton McGuinty, and then Kathleen Wynne, a liberal Kathleen Wynne, and then Mike Harris, progressive conservative, and Ernie Eves, progressive conservatives. All of them have one thing in common, and that is they downloaded their responsibility as the provincial jurisdiction into municipalities. You know, municipalities like City of Toronto cannot handle housing issues alone. They need partner. And I've met many times John Tory. He's a good man. You know, he cares. But all the authorities and leaders in the city council, including our city councillor here, they need a provincial partner that can work with them on housing issues. And rather than just downloading it into municipalities, you know, we need to tackle the housing crisis. And to do that, as you know, we have put forward a plan that is doable, it's practical, and can be done quickly. And that is our Ontario NDP housing plan. You can simply go to Ontario NDP and just access the entire plan, or you could simply put search engine and then just put it Ontario NDP housing plan. There you will have it. And basically what we want is to create options, more options as well. And that is a very important, that we have options, so that those who are decent and hardworking people that want to buy a home, one of the barriers of them is to have a loan equity. You know, the down payment of 10%, most of them, they don't have it. So we are going to provide, an NDP government will provide loan equity. And that loan equity you can pay later, you know, and that way you'll be able to have access to pay your mortgage and get a place of your own. And that is if you make less than 200,000. And that is a majority of the decent and hardworking people will be able to get that. What about those who cannot afford to take a mortgage and don't have a reliable job and so forth? Then I think we need to also build more co-ops, more affordable housing, and also provide also direct support to people so that they could afford the period they need help. And the government should be there to support people. And definitely an NDP government will put your priority and make it happen. So if you want to get a copy, Katra, about our housing plan, Ontario NDP housing plan, please email me, my office, fhassan-co@ndp.on.ca. And I'll be happy to send you. If you don't use emails, you can phone me at 416 243-7984, and I'll be happy if I don't answer the phone, or if we don't answer at the constituency office, you can leave us message, and we'll be happy to get back to you and also mail it a copy of the housing plan. Okay. Well, thank you for the question, Katra, for also joining us this beautiful Friday evening as well. And quickly, also, I'll take folks who are joining us from Instagram and also Facebook, their questions quickly and their comments. Here also, Brandon says, since the federal election is over, do you think that the federal Liberal candidate, Kevin Vaughn, should resign? Well, that's a very good question, Brandon. And absolutely, the contentious issue here with this Liberal candidate, who's then the Liberals the last week have not vetted properly and have been found to some serious allegations against him. And definitely, I do believe that this has to be dealt with, and he must resign. And also, he can run as an independent so that he can get the confidence and the trust of the people of Espadina Fort York. And I do believe that the NDP candidate, Norman de Pasquale, who have done fantastic job in the community, would have an opportunity to contest again with him. And that would also create an opportunity, the people from Espadina Fort York, to speak. And thank you for your question. And my answer to that question, Brandon, is yes, he should resign. It's the right thing to do. Absolutely. Okay. And folks, welcome those who are joining us. You're joining Faisal Hassan, NDP, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram and YouTube. And if you are joining me from YouTube, you can also subscribe so you don't miss any instant notifications as we also go back to the legislature on October 4th. So any debates we would have definitely will be featuring on our also. You can also watch the Ontario Legislature Assembly television live, but also you can also, if you miss that, we will be able to also share on our social media platforms, and including YouTube as well. So it's always good if you're not if you don't have access to Facebook or Instagram or Twitter, then I think YouTube will be the best place to connect with us. Okay, so you can subscribe there as well. Well, Brandon, thank you for the question. Also, yesterday there was a concern about urgent chemical hazard alert about George Bell Arena at the southern part of our riding. And Toronto Police Services have informed residents near George Bell Arena to avoid the area there because of the reports on ammonia leak resulting in smoke and hazardous air quality there. Streets in the area have been then closed for emergency services, and the Toronto Police have been updating the community. So make sure you also check it out that as well. Okay, thank you. Welcome, folks who are joining also Instagram. Folks, we know also, our heroes, our champions, our frontline workers, the nurses, the BSWs, the doctors, those folks have been putting their lives front and center. They have done so much work. They have been essential workers, and this government calls them champions. They call them heroes, but then when it comes compensation, paying them a decent compensation, they introduce bills like Bill 124 and fair pay for nurses is essential, folks. Nurses in Ontario have expressed concerns of the arbitration decision, giving 60,000 of its hospital members a total wage and compensation increase of 1% for the next year. Earlier in their mandate, the government limited pay and other compensation increases to 1% for nurses and other public employees. I'm very disappointed that the government chose not to repeal this insulting and unfair bill that face of the heroic work of nurses in Ontario during the pandemic. They put themselves first, serving our communities. Nurses are burnt out, and many are leaving the field at a time when they are needed the most. They don't deserve this treatment, and I support their calls to repeal Bill 124 immediately. An NDP government will do just that. And it's important that we do. And folks, this is very important that we compensate people that we call heroes and champions, our nurses, our frontline workers, our PSWs, and these are people who have sacrificed so much. And we have to be consistent, folks. It's very important that we support them, and definitely, and the entire official opposition will be supporting and rebuilding Bill 124. Well, thank you again for joining me again another Friday from 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. And I know now, as we come out of the summertime, we'll have more opportunity to actually join together and hear one another more. And also this afternoon, I think that's quickly this afternoon, I have received the constituency, the community constituents contacted me about a flyer that have been distributed in part of the community, and this flyer is about the Humber River Hospital, and they are saying there is going to be a community meeting on Wednesday, September 29th from 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. Location is empty lot west of 208 Church Street, and that is, and they also want people to register to participate in the meeting, or just to show up there, but they want you to register churchstreethouses.eventbrite.ca, and for social distancing planning, please register by Monday, September 27. So that is also something they are putting forward. So if you live in Church, Pine, those streets close by, then definitely it's a concern to you, and you should register. And I think one of the problems here is that the community have raised is lack of community consultation. If there is any project that's happening in our community, and this also I have had a heated a conversation with the city councillor about it, the community should be consulted. Consultation must be a number one priority for any project that's coming to the community. So the community should know about it, they should have say about it, and then they will understand the benefit to them, and they will welcome in open arms. And if they have concerns, they will address and also speak about those concerns. And we should be making it more consultation and more allowing the community to have a say. And September 29th at 6 p.m., definitely I encourage you, if you have received, register and show up so that we would have a conversation about what this is all about. I know nothing about it because I have not been informed about it. I know I haven't received any letter about it. I haven't had any conversations about the Humber River Hospital, about this project. So we need to learn. We want also the community also be heard as well. Okay, so that's just a quick announcement there as well. Very good. Well, another thing also is the issue of the legislature um, resuming on October 4th. And at that time, the speaker have sent us emails to the members of the legislature, and everyone also who is seeking to enter the legislative president will be required to provide either proof of fully vaccinated COVID-19 status or proof of recent negative rapid agent test results. And that is something that I wanted to talk to you about it, because why would the government expect less of an MPP than they expect of someone going to a movie or out for dinner? And this is very important, folks, that we need to understand. And if we are going to allow the members or folks who work at the legislature to, if they don't have a vaccines, they could have a proof of a test, rapid test results. Then why are we doing it double standard? Because are we also requiring every worker the same thing? Or it's only for the elected members and the staff and people who work at the president at the Ontario legislature. And to me, that sounds not right. And I will be raising this question quickly. And I know that today also our House Leader, Beggy Sattler from London West, also raised this again. And I just want to share with you, it's very important that you should know, I'm also outraged, a double standard from us for one policy and the rest of the population and another policy, which to me is not right and not injusto. It's not right, folks. We will talk about that, and I will be raising my concern to the government, definitely, as also our leader and also our House Leader has also raised this as well. You also know that also September 22nd, Ontario's vaccine certificate program was launched yesterday not yesterday, but before yesterday. Today is 24th, so it was the 22nd. Many residents and businesses owners have reached out with questions about the program. Some businesses owners are feeling apprehensive about carrying the honors of enforcement and the impact on staff from negative interactions. And that, to me, it's not the responsibility of business owners to police their customers. It is not right. And that is not a way to do it, to put, businesses into this situation. And as you know, this September of 22nd, on Wednesday, Ontarians will need to be fully vaccinated, 2 doses plus 14 days, and provide their proof of vaccination along with photo ID to address certain public settings and facilities. To do this, what you can do is you can take a picture of your first dose sheet, receipt that you have received with your email, and also the second, and save it on your phone. That will be just there, and you can actually show whomever is requesting it. And individuals who cannot receive the vaccine due to medical exemptions would be permitted entry with doctor's note until recognized medical exemptions can be integrated as part of the digital vaccine certificate. This is what the government is saying, folks. So children who are 11 years of age and younger and unable to vaccinated will also be exempted from these requirements. And where it's affecting is the restaurants and bars, excluding outdoor patios, as well as delivery and take out. Nightclubs, including outdoor areas of the establishment, meeting and event spaces such as banquet halls and conference convention centers, facilities used for sports and fitness activities and personal fitness training such as gyms and fitness and recreational facilities, with the exemption of youth recreational sporting events, casinos, bingo halls, and gaming establishments, concerts, music festivals, theaters, and cinemas, strip clubs, uh, bath houses, and sex clubs, racing venues, for example, horse racings. These are the places that will affect them. And enforcement, now it's very important. Who's going to enforce it? At present, they say businesses will be asking people for paper or digital copy of their vaccination receipt and piece of government issued ID. And this is where it becomes contentious, because businesses do not want to have a confrontation with their customers. They have been struggling, during the pandemic. And this is also a concern as well. An enhanced vaccine certificate as well as verification app to allow businesses to read the QR code will be available beginning October 22nd. And that time, we will expect the government will provide us more information, but we have many questions, and definitely I'll be raising these questions and the questions you have also shared with us as well. Consistent with current practices under the Reopening Ontario Act, enforcement will be conducted by municipal bylaw officers. Ministry of Labour, Training and Skills Development inspectors will begin with education and warning visits. Visits will also be done according to this, and it is a mess. It's not clear, but it will create also more confusion, and the small businesses are worried. And many of them have actually shut down their sitting arrangements, and now they are only allowing to go. And that also another issue, because they don't want the headache. They don't want this thing that the government is imposing on them. And now they're saying, we don't want to be part of this, because we want only people to come our premises and just will deal with to go. That's it. So, and there are many businesses like that in our community that have now decided to not participate sitting arrangements in their facilities. So they're asking just to go. And that way for them, it's less headache, as they told me about it. And they don't want also for confrontation with their customers. Fines here also, there are fines involved here that the government is saying, and the fines are on the table for businesses that don't comply with the checks and for patrons who give false information. But businesses, bylaw officers, police officers, and the province say enforcement will be gentle until policy's impact starts to play out on the ground. And now this is also something, a lot of people are also concerned, and this is also creates also confusion, and also it will impact heavily on our small businesses. They're already struggling, and also we know that also many of them have withered away. They have closed down, and also we talked about today alone. Today, perfectly plain closed down, and it's so sad to let them go, and so sad that their business closed its door to our community. And there are many businesses like that in our community, and many of them now are saying this also will impact also their businesses, and the government is not providing any support in that regard, and perhaps maybe we can talk about compensating those businesses that feel that sitting arrangements might not be the best thing for them to do, and then we might be able, until this temporary thing that the government says, then we'll be able to provide them some incentives and support so that they will not also wither away, like we have seen Matisse and Perfectly Plain and Whiff and other businesses in our community that are now gone in our community. So that's also some of the concerns about this as well. So we will be also welcoming you. If you have any concerns about this, please let me know. You can reach me fhassan-co at ndp.on.ca. You can reach me at 416-243-7984. Thank you and have a wonderful evening as well. You also quickly welcome those who are joining: Sahara, Johnny, Adi, and others, Brandon, Kalshale, and others who've just joined us, and Instagram and Twitter, and also Facebook, and also YouTube. Welcome, folks. And I know that Ontario needs a new rock solid last mile strategy, of course. I've said that again and again to surplus, the 90% vaccination goal and end COVID in Ontario, and that's, I think, the best way to do it. And Doug Ford's bare minimum approach isn't cutting it. Millions of Ontarians have done the right thing, folks. We have hunted for appointments, line up for hours, gotten our job, and then helped our family and our neighbors get theirs too. And I know the long lineups for our pop-ups in our community. It took about 7 months to get a permanent testing facility in our community, as well. Also, it took us also a long period of time to actually convince this government to put resources, communities like ours, where it's termed as hotspot and also high risk a neighborhood in our community. And that is also something the community has done so much. And also I want to thank also those who have participated, a Black Creek Community Health Center, a Unison Health Center, and also the Humber River Hospital, and also Women's College Hospital, and our own West Park Health Care Center, which is also instrumental partnering, also a West Mountains community hub here. And still you can get your first shot and second shots at community at the Western Mountains community hub here in 1765 Western Road. So they have done so much things, and all of you have done it. We earned the chance to go to stadium, the mall, or places of worship without fear that we're going to be exposed to COVID-19. We should be able to support local businesses without putting our health at risk. And we deserve to have hospitals that are ready to care for our loved ones, not packed up with COVID patients who chose not to get vaccines. But vaccines, folks, is very important that we support vaccines, because it really makes it protects you, and I think that's why we need that last mile strategy to make sure that we get it right and we do it right, and to make sure that also we bring it to you, and we have done many of you into your apartments, into your homes, to deliver these, and definitely this is also very helpful. People have done everything they have been asked, and now I think there is hope that we're going to come out of this sooner than later. And folks, thank you for joining us, for joining me, Faisal Hassan, your member of provincial parliament. As I promised during the pandemic, I join you every Friday. I know we used to meet on Saturdays, but because now we are coming to a winter and going into that into the fall and into the winter, that some of you have suggested that Fridays will be the best time, 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. And here we are. And we're going to continue every Friday to make sure that I also update you what we have been doing and also the important issues that's happening in the community, and also take some of your comments. I know many of you, are enjoying the beautiful weather, but I know many of you will also be watching it later. Some of you cannot join live. I understand that, but also I'll make sure that you are able to have access there when you need it. You'll be able to watch it again on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and also Instagram. That will be a good thing to do. And also the NDP will also make the National Day for Truth and Reconciliation a statutory day off in Ontario. And the official opposition, our leader Andy Horvath, also have called the Premier, Doug Ford, to make the change now. And that's very important, folks, that we do that. And September 30th is approaching, and also all our employees are going to have that statutory holiday off, because we need to make it an Ontario statutory day. And an NDP government statutory day off in Ontario will be implemented immediately on the National Day for Truth and Reconciliation, statutory day off in Ontario. So that is also something we are committed to doing it. Also, over the past year, folks, the graves of more than 1,300 Indigenous children have been discovered at farmer residential school sites. We mourn together, grieved together, and face the truth together. That all Indigenous peoples living in Canada are survivors of Canada's tools of genocide. We cannot simply move on from this truth. That is why we have called for September 30th to be a day for reflection, for education, and for concrete commitments and action towards equity and justice for Indigenous people. An NDP government will do this, but let us start now while the pain in our hearts is still fresh, and start it right away, and declaring September 30th a National Day for Truth and Reconciliation is one of the 94 calls to action from the Truth and Reconciliation Commission. And the Ontario NDP caucus has already confirmed for all our staff that the day will be a paid day away from work, and committed to make the day a provincial-wide statutory day off if elected an NDP government in June 2nd. But Premier Doug Ford and the Minister of Indigenous Affairs, Greg Rickford, are refusing to take that step now. And it is a step we need now, right away, before an election. There is a lot of work to be done to ensure justice, dignity, and equity for Indigenous people, from clean water to fixing the broken child welfare system and building equitable access to healthcare and education. So making September 30th a provincial statutory is a way to keep this work on the front burner, to convey the gravity of the National Day for Truth and Reconciliation, and to make sure the previous precious children that were taken from their parents, their families, and their communities, and never ever forgotten. The NDP is committed to ensuring that all 94 calls to action from the Truth and Reconciliation Commission are truly implemented in Ontario. So, folks, that's also a very important. Folks who are just joining us, welcome. This is your member, Provincial Parliament, Faisal Hassan, joining you again. Another Friday from 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. So those who are joining Instagram, and those who are also joining us Facebook, Ferdoz and Tarish, welcome. And also those who are joining us also YouTube. I won't be able to take some comments, people from Twitter and Facebook at the moment, but I'll be able to take it on Instagram and a Facebook page as well. So to hear about your concerns as well. So, folks, also this week we had a federal election. And now is the time, as I talked about, the election is over. And it was an election that was not needed in the first place because the parliament then was working and everybody wanted to get things done. But the Liberal government wanted a majority government. But the people have spoken and they have provided again a minority government. And that is also a great opportunity to work together, regardless of politics, political affiliation, and it's needed to get things done. And Ontario's leaders also need to work with the federal government to deliver the help everyday folks in Ontario really need right now. It is time to put partnership aside and get to work supporting families, workers, and small businesses in our communities, so that we can get results for people in our community and crush the problems. And so that was also now more than ever, it's needed to fix issues of climate. We need to work on that. We need to work on the legislative, they can work on the, democratic reform. Childcare is number one. I think we can make sure Ontario signs and work with the federal government to get childcare $10 per day, and also get more sports or more locations. And we can use many schools in our community to become also childcare centers, community centers, can also facilitate that. It will create also good paying jobs as well, so that also, early childhood educators are also doing an excellent job. So they also deserve good wages and good paying jobs, so that they could have a decent earnings to raise a family and to also continue supporting our younger children as well. So there are also, folks, as the Parliament resumes on October 4th, we need also to talk about, when we go back, many issues in our community. Also, many of you also have contacted me with regards to the Eglinton Crosstown. We know that the community of the Kilsdale have really suffered. They have suffered because of the Eglinton Crosstown prior to the pandemic have affected them. Many businesses there are not coming back because really they have a struggle. And now the Metrolink and the Minister of Transportation is asking them that they're going just to clean their windows, but they have asked direct support. They've asked direct support for their businesses and other supports to give them a relief, so that the remaining businesses do not wither away. And that's a very important issues. And I have written a letter to the minister. I've written another letter to the minister. I've written another letter to the minister. And now the BIA also have written a letter to the minister. And I also wrote another letter to the Minister of Transportation raising that concern. Also, now the businesses are doing a petition. As soon as the petition comes into my hand, I'll be happy also to table it at the legislature as soon as that happens. Another issue, as you know, the Eglinton Crosstown continues on Eglinton. Now the communities of Emmett have raised a concern. And in 2016, they were told that the subway there will be underground. And now they have been told from Jane to Scarlett is going to be above ground. And from Scarlett all the way Ranford is going to be underground. They don't understand why the plan is changed, and they have not been properly communicated. And that's also another issues. And I think this is important also in the area. There is also a lot of life important environmental issues, also other issues as well. So I think the community should be listened. And if it is going to be underground elsewhere, why? why it's not from Jane to Scarlett as well. And the community is asking those questions. And I've conveyed these on behalf of the community to Metrolink and to the Minister of Transportation to look into it. I know that the federal MP from York Center have celebrated and said he have gotten money from Scarlett to Ramford to go underground. And also, we know that the infrastructure minister from the Etobicoke Center also have also was also representing that community. What about our community? Why not? The wishes of the community here should also be considered here, because if from Scarlett to Ramford is going to be underground, why not Jane to Scarlett as well? I know there is also Humber River is also located there, crossing on Scarlett, and that too, I think it can be done. There are many engineering thing that also that have been proposed in it. So why not? Why not? Because the Emmet folks have also have suggested, and they have been reissued early on in 2016. 2016, I was not the MPP, but if that's the case, the consultation that they have been consulted, that was the report of the city and the report of Metrolink. They now, these political interferences by the elected officials in Etobicoke, that also creating a more problem here. And we need to also address this. And folks from Emmet, I will continue to bring your voices to the legislature about your concerns in these issues as well. So thank you for those who have contacted me with regard to that, and I'll be happy to continue to bring your concerns to the authorities concerned in this, and we'll see how that could also be altered, the plan, and what is their justification to this as well. And if there is a justification, then they should be communicating the community early on, not just when they are implementing it and when the construction is starting it. And that's not a good leadership to begin with. We know also Metrolink have been promising in our own community here on the Up Express that it's going to be electrified, and all these promises have been broken. We know that also Kathleen Wynne came in 2014 when she wanted a majority government. She came here and she promised that she's going to electrify, all the southern corridors that Up Express goes through. And we know them again. That was a broken promise again, and it hasn't materialized because they just wanted to be re-elected. And that was also a Liberal Party record of that. And as you know, the Liberal leader, Del Duca, was the transportation minister in that. So they have broken so many promises in that regard. And diesel trains, still we have diesel trains that goes through in our community. So the record of Metrolink in our community is not good. It's not good. And it has been used by the elected members or the government of the day to simply tell them what to do. And I think it's time that we listen to the professionals, and the best way to go about when it comes to transit plans. And this case in Eglinton Cross town have affected many members of our community, their livelihood, and also their way of life as well. So, folks, I will be continuing to be your voice to raise these issues and make sure we get results for the community, and make sure that if they're going to do some sort of a change of plan, then community should be provided those information early on and consultations should happen. And I know that the Metrolink, the workers and the community engagement group have been doing so many community meetings, lately. I know that because I have met with them, they have briefed me, and I've also shared my concerns about the community concerns about this. But there's also a communication breakdown in the entire community because very few people show up those consultations, and the community also feels that their input doesn't really matter at all. They will do whatever they want or what the the members of Etobicoke Center has been celebrating about it, going through Scarlet to Remford into underground, but not our community from Jane to Scarlet. And that is, I don't understand why that exclusion has happened there. Okay, so we need answers, folks. That's it for me. Thank you for joining this afternoon. I'll join you again the next Friday from 7 to 8 p.m. And those of you who have asked questions on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube, I welcome. I thank you first, and I welcome your comments in the future, and also your questions as well. And you don't have to wait Friday for your questions. If you have urgent case or urgent issues, you can write to me, Faisal Hassan CO at ndp.on.ca, or you can write to me 416 243 7984. You can call rather 416 243 7984, or you can write to me my email of Hassan -co at ndp.on.ca. Well, folks, until then, thank you for joining me. Until then, good